I find your complete and utter incompetence to be rather disappointing, both as a reflection of you as an individual, as well as the standards this university holds for its admitted students, apparently. I had rather hoped that my cause for this disappointment would be obvious. However, considering what you are attempting to do now, I suspect I will have to give you a reminder about how to look after one's health and well-being, as well as that of others. I would expect someone who has been accepted into such a prestigious university to at least have some common sense about them. Perhaps something along the lines of staying in bed, resting, and remaining isolated when one is ill, so as to avoid worsening their own illness and to avoid spreading the contagion to others. However, here you are, clearly as sick as a dog, attempting to go to class as if nothing is wrong. I can't say whether I'm more disappointed in you or whoever raised you to be this way. There will be none of that. As I recall, I am the resident assistant of this dormitory, so I will be the one taking authority here. And I simply cannot allow you to walk about freely, spreading who knows what to your classmates. No, that simply won't do. So you are to be confined to your dormitory until the sickness has passed. Is that understood? I do beg your pardon, but I don't believe I was asking you if you would do it, simply if you understood that it was required of you. I will hear no arguments on the subject. Though my major is in historical literature, I do have some knowledge thanks to the texts I've been required to read and analyze. I realize that based on your symptoms, it could be any number of things. You appear to be rather frigid. And, regrettably, it is still summer weather outside. While the dormitories do provide a good amount of air conditioning, there is certainly no need for you to be bundled up so much when summer has barely turned into autumn. What I'm saying is it's quite obvious that you have a fever, you imbecile. As well as a rather persistent cough, it would seem. Whether that is being caused by a sore throat or congestion, I have no desire to know. I simply need to know whether or not you understand what is required of you. And if you could please stop coughing when I'm trying to speak, that would be most appreciated. Are you quite finished? I wouldn't recommend opening your mouth to argue against me. You do realize what happened just moments ago, don't you? And here I was hoping for a rather easy day. It seems I am destined to be disappointed, however. What I mean to say is that while you slept in your feverish state, I had my only class for the day in the early hours of the morning. Now I was hoping to come back to my dormitory and spend some time working on assignments and my studies. However, here I am having to play nursemaid for you. Oh, really? You don't believe that I'm in a difficult position at all? And why is that? How many times must I explain this to you? You are not leaving this dormitory until your symptoms have passed and the contagion is no longer able to be spread. Need I remind you of the incident that occurred not that long ago? Not even a decade has passed since. And you, of all people, still insist upon leaving this dormitory and risking the health and safety of others. You may have no compassion toward yourself and your own well-being. However, I would at least hope that you would have some empathy for your fellow students. But once again, I find myself in the undesirable position of having to educate someone who should be educated enough to be able to take care of themselves. I do believe I'm finally beginning to understand the phrase, book smart but not street smart. You truly are a lesson in that regard, so I thank you for that at the very least. You have no life skills, it would seem. If you wish to prove me wrong, you can take one big step backward into your room. I won't be allowing you to pass through this door. I beg your pardon. I never said that I was going to fight a sick person. Moreover, you just admitted to me that you are most certainly ill, meaning I have all the more reason to ensure that you do not leave today. Your professors will understand. I received a copy of your schedule in order to make sure that every resident of this dormitory hall would be given appropriate quiet hours during the night. As I'm certain you know, we pride ourselves upon being unique from other universities. Everything is personalized down to the last detail, and that means that I know everything about what you're going through. I know what professors you have and what is expected of you, so that I can be here to assist you properly. Now will you allow me to do that? We have a medical student on this floor. I'm certain they could write you a note saying that you were forbidden from attending class today due to your resident assistant's insistence upon keeping you from spreading a virus at this time of year to the rest of the school. I'm not joking. In the case of colds and flus such as these, the staff will accept notes written by medical students so long as they can provide enough evidence within the note to confirm the illness. Because, you nitwit, the teachers here do try to be understanding of the fact that not everyone has the luxury of time or money to seek medical professionals, especially over something like this. You may not be dying, but you are clearly in no position to be going to class. Precisely what I am saying. You aren't sick enough to warrant a visit to the doctor, however, you are sick enough to keep yourself in bed for the rest of the day. So, a medical student's note is perfectly acceptable in this case. Why make yourself miserable and waste time and money going to a doctor who's simply going to tell you to wait it out, when you could settle in, get some rest, perhaps even watch a documentary for one of your classes, and be content with knowing that you will not be penalized for your absence in class today? Do you have any idea what a luxury this is, to be afforded such grace from your teachers? Have you no understanding of how many people would vie for such an opportunity, to be genuinely excused from their classes over an illness? I would advise you to not waste it. And I would advise you to not waste this opportunity to receive some of my kindness. While I had anticipated and hoped for a more restful day, it is my duty as the resident assistant to take care of those on this hall. And that means, in addition to getting you to bed, I will promptly begin emailing your professors on your behalf, as well as cooking something that will fill your stomach without upsetting it. Because it is my duty, and should I fail to complete my tasks appropriately, I will not receive a fair letter of recommendation when I graduate from this institution, which I do so desperately wish to acquire. So I'm not going to slack off and allow you to go running about full of disease, nor am I going to simply allow you to rot all by yourself in your room. I will be taking care of you today. So, I would highly recommend that you return to bed now, before I find that the use of force would be more efficient in dealing with you. That's more like it. What is it? As I said, you don't need to thank me. I'm simply doing my duty. Now, in this situation, your duty is that of a patient, so I would advise you to do your duty as well, and get some damn rest, you imbecile.